You pressed the buttons. It worked. We are live. We are live. Are we live on Facebook too? Yes. Hello, awesome humans. Special episode today for those of you who are here with us live. You can see I'm not the only person in front of the camera. My daughter, Mia, my BFFF in the world, is joining us today. It is her 18th birthday today. So very special treat for me to have her on Awesome Human Hour. And yes, all emojis, all you guys are always the best. And I know we still have, I'm gonna, hold on, I gotta open all chat. Yeah, very special to have her here with us. She is going to, in a minute, as a gift, because I always say, Mia, you are my gift. And in Russia, when I was growing up, you gave gifts on your birthday. So on her birthday, she's going to give us a gift in a moment. She's going to play a classical piano piece. She's going to tell us what it is in a minute. But before we do that, wow, you guys are, what an amazing community. Like our chat is exploding. So again, I know it takes a while for Zoom to load. So hello to everyone joining. Welcome to Awesome Human Hour. Welcome on YouTube in the future. Welcome to everyone listening as a podcast and on Facebook. So grateful you're here. We have a really special show today. So first, Mia is going to play us. What a great thing to do. Listen classical music in the beginning of the day or middle of the day. And then we have an amazing guest joining us, who is an author, best-selling author of this incredible book. I was just telling Mia, she must read it. Rana Awdish is a critical care doctor and someone who suffered from a critical illness. And we're going to be talking about, she's someone who's really inspired me for years. We're going to be talking about what death can teach us about living well and healing, which I think is a beautiful topic. So Rana will be here in a moment. Just
so many people have June birthdays.
Oh, wait, hold on. In chat.
Oh,
we have a lot of June birthdays.
Her daughter. And so
wow, we have that's awesome. Well, I have to tell you guys, since we're all insiders here, I really wanted Mia's birthday to be in the summer because my birthday is December 29th, as some of you know. And it kind of sucks because everyone would be like, hi, happy new year, happy birthday. And none of my friends were in school because we weren't in school. So I really wanted Mia's birthday to be in the summer, but not too late in the summer that her friends would be out. So it kind of happened. Yeah, we do have a lot of happy birthday to everyone. Happy birthday to all the June birthdays. Yeah. Happy June birthdays, everyone. So that's what we have coming up. Rana will be here in a little bit. I'm taking things off my screen. Mia will play for us shortly. But before we do that, I'm actually going to put Mia on the spot in a minute that I didn't tell her about. But we always begin. Let's do our little ritual. Let's begin by acknowledging the awesome human in ourselves. This is called Awesome Human Hour, you guys. So complete this sentence. Today, I'm an awesome human because. Today, I'm an awesome human because. Please put it in chat because our chat is exploding. If you're listening, take a moment, like pause. Put pause, like actually press pause and do this. Complete the sentence. Today, I'm an awesome human because. Hey, Mia, can you please tell us why you're an awesome human today?
I'm going to relate it to my piano because I'm about to play. I think I'm an awesome human because I've worked so hard on this piece and I get to share it with you and with my teacher and all these other people. And I like that my hard work shines through.
Don't you just want to bottle her up and never let her go to college?
No,
I do.
Put me in your pocket.
Oh yeah.
That's what we always say. We always say, I'm going to put you in my pocket.
Yeah.
And carry you around.
I always tell Mia, before you go to college, I want to go in the pocket and be with her.
Oh, look. Today I'm an awesome human because I get to wish Mia a happy birthday.
So awesome. Okay, Mia, read a couple. I always read. I love when you guys share your awesome human. Today I'm an awesome human. Mia's going to read a few.
I'm taking a me break to attend this meeting. That's so good.
That's awesome. All right, read a few. I always read a few. Mia will have my duties today.
Today I'm an awesome human because I took care of my friend while we were on my birthday weekend getaway. Oh, awesome. Today I'm an awesome human because I have carved out time for this. And look, everyone's
yes, I love it. I love it.
I'm taking time for myself and listening to this wonderful talk. I have shared Natalie's book with my supervisor.
You guys are rock stars. Rock stars.
Oh, today I'm an awesome human because I feel loved and happy.
That's a
Follow
great
my
one.
mother's mantra. Wow.
Read it out loud.
As a nonprofit leader, I follow my mother's mantra. Those who can should.
Oh, that's beautiful, Susan. I always get distracted and just start reading them over and over and over. So thank you guys for sharing. As I always remind you, we are really good at criticizing ourselves. Mia, I give these pep talks to Mia all the time. And for those of you who get my weekly email, you got to take a peek into the book I wrote for Mia of Mama Mia Pep Talks, an actual book for her graduation. So I give a lot of pep talks, such mom thing, I can't help it. But I always remind you, and I always remind Mia, we are all really good at criticizing ourselves. It comes from a lot of reasons, by the way. One of them is that our brain has a negativity bias, which applies to ourselves as well. Like, you don't get up in the morning, you're like, yeah, I look great, I did all the things yesterday. You get up, you're like, I didn't do this, wrinkles, whatever. We tend to focus on the negative. So we have to counter that by reminding ourselves about the good in ourselves, the awesome, the meaningful, because that's actually how we improve. That's actually how we get to do the hard stuff and grow. So do this daily. Today, I'm an awesome human because every morning while you're brushing your teeth, on your way to work, with your morning coffee, in your journal, today, I'm an awesome human because. Speaking of journals, you guys, I haven't announced this on Awesome Human Hour yet because we moved to monthly. Drum roll, I don't know. Drum roll, this is like our table roll. But I can officially announce that I am working on the Awesome Human Journal, which will be out in the fall of 2023. It is so exciting. I'm so excited. I've given sneak peeks on Instagram of some of the pages I'm working on, but it's going to be a fully interactive journal to help you practice embracing your awesome human. I'm illustrating the whole thing. It's all going to be in my handwriting, and it's taking the Awesome Human Project, the book, and adding a lot to it. I have some really creative things. So I'm really, really, really excited to share it with you all. And another total sneak peek, we'll talk about this on our Awesome Human Hour in July. I am going to be creating a small group of awesome humans to kind of be my journal testers as I'm working on it. You'll see advanced pages, you'll give me feedback. So start thinking about it. It's going to be a small group, like not 200 people as we had for the Awesome Human Project team. But if it's something you are interested in, to be really, it's a commitment because you got to be involved. You got to like give me your feedback. I'll share the application form in July on Awesome Human Hour because we're going to create it together. I really want, I love the enthusiasm, you guys. It's so great. All right. Oh, I love it. I love the enthusiasm. Oh, Valeska's here. Emily. I love seeing all the new names. I love seeing all the familiar names. I love the excitement. You guys, I'm really, really excited about the journal. Mia has seen pages from it. And the best thing is when I show to Mia, wait, what do you say when you really love it? Do that or kill it.
No, I always say, oh, killed it.
Killed it.
Or killing it.
Killing it. So like I've gotten a lot of killed it on some of the pages I've shown to Mia. I got a lot. So you guys, the journal is going to be amazing because Mia was like,
it's going to kill it.
It's going to kill it. Yeah. I'm so cool. It's your nature. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited. Fall 2023 sounds like a long time ago in the future, but it's not. So yeah, I'm really excited to share it with you guys. Okay. I think it is time to hear Mia play. Mia, what are you going to play? And talk a little bit, just tell us the piece and then talk how long you've been playing piano and why it's a big deal and all that kind of stuff.
I'm going to play Impromptu in A minor by, I think it's A minor, by Schubert. And she doesn't think I need to say this, but I need to preface it by saying I'm not playing the whole thing because it's really long. So it might sound, if you play any kind of instrument, it may sound like a little bit of a funny ending because it's not actually the ending. There's like 3 parts. I'm playing like the first 2 parts. So I just need
Everyone
to say
is okay
that,
with that, right?
Like a musician, I just need to preface I'm not playing the whole thing, but I hope you enjoy it. And I don't know what.
We'll talk about how long because they can hear. How long have you been playing piano?
I've been playing, so this is 13 years.
13 years.
This is the end of, me
Her
playing at my studio with my teacher. It's my last recital, 13 years.
How often have you been practicing for 13 years?
Well, I don't know in the beginning, but I have been practicing like pretty much 6 days a week for, I would say 10 or 11 years.
Yeah. Which is pretty amazing.
Saying that out loud is a little crazy.
It's pretty amazing. And when she was little, I don't play.
She would learn all my pieces.
I would learn my mother is a pianist. So Mia's grandma, we don't call her that, but she is a pianist and a piano teacher. I didn't play. I was a dancer.
We're playing a Schubert duet, me and also another Schubert for
the recital. And so when Mia was younger, I would learn all her pieces by heart so that I would sit and could practice with her. And I remember one of the moments, I don't remember when, but when she just started playing and I was like, wow, I can't.
No, I was actually remember there was I think it was like 11 and I was playing some piece that was supposed to have a repetition in it. And I like missed the repetition and I expected her to say something and she didn't.
Because I couldn't follow it anymore.
Know. And I was like, oh, this is like all grown up.
Yeah, all grown up. All grown up. All right. Are we ready for a little classical music performance in the mid-afternoon? I think it's such a, I don't know. It's such a gift to me to like even listen to, I've been telling Mia to her practice. Like I come and I'll with my laptop and I'll sit over there and I'll do my work and just like listen. So yeah, Mia, people are excited.
I'm ready.
We are ready. I'm going to get out of the way. I'm just going to check the camera once you sit. Okay, everyone can see. Okay, we are ready. You might have to do it again. Sorry, guys. I think we just need to do a different speaker.
They can't hear?
Yeah. Hold on. We'll adjust it. Don't worry.
You should, you could do like the settings that I do for lessons.
Okay.
To make it better.
Let's do that. Mia's going to adjust.
Output level, input level. Yeah, I mean, that should be better.
What'd you adjust?
I just changed the background noise suppression.
Oh,
and then there's another thing I do, but I'm not gonna.
What is it?
It's like high fidelity music mode, but I don't know. It's like in here when I do it, but it's not here now. Yeah. I could do original sound.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, here we go. Okay. High fidelity music mode. That's what it is.
All right, guys.
Original sound on. Okay, this should be a lot better. Hopefully. That's what I do.
Well,
that's what I do for my online piano lessons. So.
Which her teacher really doesn't love, but they've done amazing. All right, play a few things. Let's make sure. Better? Yeah, okay, great.
Thank you.
It's the original sound. Okay, awesome, team. that incredible? That last part, I just die. I cry. It's like that last part is too much. My heart.
Oh.
My screen is exploding with all the emoji.
Thank you guys. Oh.
So beautiful. I was reading that someone's mom is a pianist and used to play this piece. Yeah, Emily wrote that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
That
so
last
glad
part.
I could do this for you guys.
Yeah, it's a gift. You're a gift.
My recital's on Sunday. Wish me luck.
Okay, everyone. Good juju. Good juju on Sunday around 6 o'clock, please. Yeah, big final recital. And then she and my mom are playing a duet as well. So, yeah, how long you've been practicing this piece?
Well, I think since March.
Yeah.
Not actually that long. Not that long.
Yeah, but...
I mean, I don't know. For me, it's not that long.
Yeah, some have been longer. All right, my love. I love you so much. Mm-hmm. Wave to everyone. Say bye, awesome humans.
Thank you.
Bye,
you
everyone.
Should send them the recital.
Oh, Mia has a good idea.
There will be a recording of my recital.
I'll post it.
So I'm telling that.
Yeah, I'll put it on YouTube and send a link out in one of my emails since there was such love.
Oh my God, she will slay it.
She will slay it. Nice.
I say that I say slay all the time.
That's Emily. Emily is one of our founding members of the
cool.
Awesome Human Project. Yeah, slay it. Emily, you got cool teenage slang. Mia approves. I love it. All right, my love. Go have a nice lunch. Drive carefully.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Oh my goodness, you guys. If you're a parent, you get me, right? Actually, I don't know, parent or not. That last part for me, like when Mia plays it, I just start crying. Like I'd be sitting there practicing and I just, I don't know, this parenting thing, it's like takes your all. So thank you everyone for being such awesome humans. Contrice, I don't know what I'm gonna do when she goes to college. I have no idea. We're really lucky. We're really close, but yeah. So I know I share my life a lot. So Mia's going to our alma mater. Mia's going to Wesleyan University. It was her first choice. She got in early. It was our most competitive year in history. So we're like, both Avi, my husband, and I went. We met at Wesleyan actually. So that's where she's going. It's about an hour and a half away. So as I tell her, that's close enough where I'm like, hey, I was just driving to Whole Foods. I took a detour, here I am. No, I'm not going to do that, you guys. Thank you for being so open-hearted. I hope that was really fueling and healing and inspiring. I just wanted to give you all a gift on her birthday, which is the biggest gift for me. I grew up, my mom would play and perform and teach, and and Mia's always practicing, and music is really magical, whatever music. But this piece in particular, I don't know, there's something about it. It goes somewhere in me. So thank you. And I absolutely will. Thank you everyone for such incredibly kind words. Since we had such enthusiasm, I am going to be recording her recital. I get to go because I'm recording it. Our teacher is really careful, so she's not letting parents come, but I'm running the live Zoom since I'm so good at these for everyone. So I will record and I will put it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, and I will share the link in my weekly email. If you are not subscribed to my weekly email by any chance, you should be. It's good stuff. I write it weekly. I always write it myself. It's things like this. It's inspiration fuel. You can just go to nataliekogan.com and subscribe to make sure you get the link. Thank you, Emily. I just want to read what Emily wrote. Mia, I'm reading it to you too as Mia gets ready to go to lunch with her friend. The session was a gift today. It's been a long few weeks and things like this are such a pick-me-up. Do you hear that? Yeah, she's really excited. Actually, when she was younger and I'd ask her to do something like this, like I had to do a little nudging. But one of the things I'm really proud of is like Mia, I give her, I'll share this with you guys. I wish her the same thing in all my birthday cards. I think every year, and on her bat mitzvah, I always tell her, find your gift, like work really hard to find your gift and then bust your butt to share it with the world. It means a lot to me that what she said to you guys, and that she really embodies it. Playing piano is one of her gifts. She works really, really, really hard at it, and she's become much more open to sharing it with others. So thank you for being part of her birthday, of my birthday via her. She was born in 9:20 a.m. Someone asked before. She was not born 9:20 a.m. He was actually born in New York City. Avi and I were living in Manhattan at the time. And she was born in New York City. So Mia is a New Yorker at NYU Hospital. Yeah, it's pretty surreal because 18 years feels basically like yesterday and 15 lifetimes ago. I'm sure for parents who are here, you can relate to what that means. So with that, I see Rana is going to join us shortly. I am so excited to talk to Rana today, and I'm so excited. You know, it might seem like an ominous topic to talk about what death can teach us about living well, but there's Rana. Hold on, I'm going to spotlight her for everyone and say what I'm going to say after I say hello. Rana, welcome to Awesome Human Hour. Thank you for being here.
I'm thrilled to join you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I know you're so busy. I'm so grateful we could make the time. Well, I will gush with you on screen and for everyone on screen and here. And I showed everyone your book before. Mia, my daughter, who was just playing piano. I don't know if you got to catch any of that. She was like, oh, I got to read that because Mia's planning to go to medical school. That's her path. And I just want to tell everyone before we dive in, I came across Rana on Twitter, which is funny for me to say. For those of you who know me, I don't like Twitter. I love Instagram. I love LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter because I was in tech when Twitter was born. And Rana is someone like, I don't even remember what post I read, but there's such humanness and awesome humanness and authenticity in your words, Rana. You're my light on Twitter. And so a couple months ago, I mean it. And I have gotten to know you a little bit through your work and just, so I am so grateful to have you here and to share your light and wisdom. And I'm actually going to not introduce you because I want to dive in by asking you, you're a doctor, you're an artist. I mentioned this at the top of the hour, but I just want to dive in and have you share a little bit of your journey in whatever way you want of maybe how you got to today, where we're going to talk about how facing death can help us live well.
Happy to. Thank you. Not unlike Mia, probably I wanted to be a physician since I was a child and saw it as like this beautiful combination of listening and people and translating issues into diagnoses and treatment. And I set about accomplishing that goal in the way that we do, and was really close to the end of it. I got through my medical school, my internal medicine residency training, my fellowship in pulmonary and critical care, which felt like the most medicine-y medicine. And then I got critically ill myself. And I got to have the experience of being a critically ill patient in my own hospital. And it was truly, an education in and of itself, because everything I thought I knew about what my patients needed from me, everything I thought I was ready to practice, I realized I had so much yet to learn. And that hospitalization was really, really difficult. I had a tumor in my liver that burst. I lost my whole blood volume into my abdomen. I lost a pregnancy. We were 7 months pregnant and the baby couldn't survive the blood loss. I ended up in multi-system organ failure and in shock. And just that little, 4 hours of terrible illness set off a course that would take really 10 surgeries and 8 years to recover from. And even recovery was different than I would have thought it would have been as a physician. I needed to write, I needed to paint, I needed to connect to communities that understood. And all of that was just so opaque to me when I was only a physician.
Yeah, something that you write in your book, and I haven't finished reading your book, but I have started, and you are such a beautiful writer, Rana. I have to say, just from one author to another, it's so lyrical. I want to connect with, lead you along the conversation with this phrase that's actually in your introduction that I read to Mia before we got on Zoom. Medicine cannot heal in a vacuum. It requires connection.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I had extraordinary care when I was in the hospital. It's a quaternary care facility. They can do anything. The technical aspects of my care were astonishing. But I can tell you that I felt like my suffering wasn't seen and my humanity wasn't attended to in so many instances that I started to really understand that we can treat without connection, we can treat without truly seeing. But the healing, the healing came from the old OB/GYN surgeon who would come and just sit by my bed and say, I see all your family in the waiting room. That feels hard. And just open these discussions for what my true experience of the illness was and not what the computer's version of my experience was. And, that was something that I needed to learn to build into my own practice, because in medical school, we're still taught that you have to preserve yourself, you have to have some distance, or you'll be depleted. And it can be scary to connect to patients who might die or are dying or who you feel like you're failing. But, you discover over time that that's the only way to really be nourished by this field.
Yeah, and I think it's so powerful what you're saying, and I want to ask you a question about that. Kindness and compassion is one of the core emotional fitness skills that I focus on, and I've done a lot of research, and I'm sure it's all research you practiced, forget you've seen. When doctors communicate with a patient about a treatment with compassion, it dramatically impacts the outcome. We are not isolated bodies, we're humans. So when a doctor prescribes a treatment with compassion, with care, with connection, a patient is more likely to follow the protocol. They're more likely to have reduced pain. It's actually more likely to work. As some of the awesome humans in the audience know, because I share my life pretty openly, I'm really obsessed right now with understanding the placebo effect and how we can use it for our mental health. So it's so true, but so to your point, we have to connect in order to have healing impact as doctors and as humans. On the flip side, what you just said also rings true. Many people in our community are caregivers in some way, either to an elderly parent or in their profession, and it can be really draining. That compassion can be really draining. So can you talk a little bit about maybe some things that you practice? How can we create a little bit of that boundary so that we are caring and compassionate, but we don't do it to a place of empty?
I found for myself that empathy and compassion alone aren't enough. That's kind of a deflection. It's a way of saying, I see your suffering, it's noted. And it's almost like being a bystander to trauma. What I have to do for myself is tie it to action. And the actions can be so small. It can be getting the warm blanket for the patient who is clearly cold but hasn't bothered to tell you because they know you're focused on other things. It can be making sure that the right people are in the room when you're having a conversation. But when I redirect myself to action, I leave the encounter feeling a bit more like I have added value, not that I've given something away, but that I've added something of myself. And that completion of the compassion link really helps me to stay engaged.
I love that, the action focus. And, because I'm a language geek, because English is my second language, so I'm a total geek. Because it was so hard to learn, I think I still geek out on it. But it's actually a really important difference you're talking about between empathy and compassion. And this is why in my work, I focus on compassion. Empathy is, I understand how you feel. Compassion is, I understand you're struggling with something and I'm going to do something to reduce struggle, however small, listening to you or getting a blanket. So I think it's and I love what you just said. I hadn't thought about that, Rana, that it's the taking the action as part of that act of compassion that actually gives us some fuel back. because when we take the action, we are contributing. And as we all know, that is when we're in our best place as human beings. That's very fueling. So I love that. I would love for you to talk about, you came, and I read that part of the book. I jumped around, just so you know. I jump around.
I
books,
don't
all
assign
books.
homework. It's okay. Don't
Oh,
worry.
I love homework. Everyone here knows I love assigning homework, but it's how I read often. I jump around. And you came really close to dying, and you in your day-to-day are now helping patients who are often at that edge. So, we can learn a lot from that place. So what would you say are some, life insights, heart insights that you've had in terms of what really matters?
There are two moments that really stick out to me when you ask that question. The first was in the operating room when I was actively dying, and there was all this commotion around me, and the anesthesiologists were yelling that they were losing me, and I still tried to tap into my doctor brain, and I thought I should see if they're losing me, and I tried to assess the situation. And I could see the anesthesiologist. I could see the OB team was readying to extract the baby. And I could see myself on the table. And I know that sounds very strange, but in that moment, my experience of it was that I was weightless, I was buoyant, I was small but connected to everything, and completely at peace and free of pain. And when I came back to consciousness in the ICU a few days later, I was still on a ventilator. I couldn't really communicate. And all I wanted to tell my husband was, there's nothing to be afraid of. It was the most peaceful I've ever felt, and completely free of fear. And, when I finally was able to tell him that, he was glad that that was my experience, but I think also I was on a lot of drugs, so they weren't sure how much of it was narcotic-induced delusion. But for me, it was very real. And that helped me just as a human to have that experience, to know that the end is something like that, even if it was clouded by opiates. And the second thing that comes to mind is after I was discharged, I had to go to my mom's house because I couldn't really walk, and I certainly couldn't do stairs. And she had a little den that I could kind of live in. And I was sitting in a recliner because I couldn't sleep flat. My lungs were filled with fluid. And I remember looking out her door wall to her backyard, and there was a flower. And I was like so happy to see the flower. And in that moment, it just felt like that was enough, that I had survived this. And now there was this beauty, like your daughter playing piano. There was this incredible beauty, and it was enough. It wasn't like I needed anything else.
That's so beautiful, what you're saying. And it's making me think of a lot of things. And obviously we all are aware that we all have more than enough. Without knowing the hundreds of people watching right now or later, I can say we all have enough, and you have your perspective. I've shared my perspective, having come here as a refugee, literally with nothing. My dad and I talk about this a lot, like literally we had nothing. And then it was exciting to have forks. I remember when we got forks, I was really excited because for a while we didn't have forks. And then the mind just adjusts, because then now I have this kind of fork and the special dinner fork, and I have this fork. And I was mad the other day because this fork from a set broke, and, and we all know that the more we have, the brain just forgets that it's enough. And I think it's something that I've really been thinking about during the pandemic. And so I really connect to what you're saying of what is enough. And if we always want more, how do we know when it's enough? And that this moment of beauty of seeing a flower, that's enough in that moment. And, I just want to share, my mom my mom, who's a pianist, and I'm very close with my parents. They live 2 miles that way. My dad is very kind of embracing of my work, and he's sort of, but my mom, it's challenging for her. And she said to me one day, she said, if I'm grateful for everything in my life, why would I ever work hard, to improve, to do more? And I think it's one of the most beautiful realizations that sounds, that what you're making me share is being grateful for that beautiful flower doesn't mean we don't want to go out and see more flowers or plant flowers. It actually fuels us.
And I think that's why gratitude practice is so remarkably replenishing, because it just anchors you in what already is. And, if we're honest, it's when we're in this moment that we can feel joy, not when we're ahead or behind in our heads. And something about just being present, I think, fuels that.
So I want to talk about that because, I asked you what's one of the lessons you learned coming close to death, and you talked about beauty and gratitude and being in the present moment. And yet you are a doctor, and I have some very close friends who are doctors. In fact, I want to tell you, just because it feels good to share, that during the pandemic, my colleague Debbie, who I know you've connected with, and I did a lot of pro bono speaking to hospitals, to doctors, to nurses, and got to do a lot of work with Mass General Hospital and their head of physician wellbeing, someone you should meet because become a really close friend. She's been a guest here. So I know a little bit about doctors' lives. It's crazy stressful. I mean, my husband and I, just so you know, whenever either of us gets stressed out about work, our shorthand to calm down is hey, no patient on the operating table, so chillax, whatever. If that's it, that's okay. If I don't do a great talk, it sucks, but everyone will be okay.
Stakes are lower.
So as someone who is in this incredibly stressful, demanding and life or death profession, how do you stay present? How do you keep that perspective? Because the brain loves to run ahead.
One of the important things for me was really reimagining my role in the lives of my patients. When I enter a room and I'm thinking, this person's coming to me and something's broken and I have to fix it and I have to figure it out in 15 minutes and come up with a plan and communicate it, I can get myself ratcheted up. If I go in a room and I think, let me meet this human and see what their experience of their body is and listen. It's like story and it's beautiful and it's rich and we connect and I learn everything I need to know in conversation. And so it really is about not holding yourself to some idealized version of what medicine told you it's supposed to look like this doctor who's an authority who knows everything, but meeting someone as a human and saying, I'm going to partner with you and we're going to work on figuring this out. And it might not be in this moment because there's so much I need to learn about you. But let's do it together and build a relationship and trust. I had to give myself permission to do that because it's not the paradigm of medicine that's taught. And it can be criticized as being inefficient, but the truth is it's a kind of authentic efficiency when you build these relationships and people are willing to tell you what's truly bothering them and then trust you as things get harder and maybe the plan morphs a bit. It's really kept me sane and engaged and loving what I do.
I think it's what you're sharing, Rana, is such a reminder to me and to all of us that practicing genuine connection and compassion, it isn't just a gift to the other person. It's actually a gift to ourselves because that is life fuel. So when we talk about how do we reduce stress, well, making time for genuine connection actually reduces the stress. And I love that you brought up the efficiency thing because I shared this in my book. I used to be an efficiency junkie. I mean, that was me. You know, I'm walking into Starbucks. I got my credit card facing the right way and I got my order. And like, I would say, thank you. I wasn't like bitchy, but that was it. Like efficiency ruled my small talk, water cooler. Oh my God. I would lead a lot of teams and I would get so frustrated at all this chit chat. And then after I went through my experience and I went through a really overwhelming burnout several years ago that paused my life, I couldn't be efficient anymore. I literally wasn't functioning. So I naturally started to connect to people. So I'd go to Starbucks, but I chat with the barista and I tell her I like her earrings and I chat with the person next to me in line. And I remember one day, I'll never forget it. I was in this coffee shop that's near our house and there was a couple who walked in, they'd never been there. And it was an Israeli coffee shop. I know the owner. And they were a little bit puzzled. The stuff looks, new. So I went over and I was telling what all the things were. And I ended up talking to them. And then I ended up like, they bought my book. They came over, the whole thing. I remember in that moment, I actually had a really rough day. But I remember I was like, this is life. I was like, I've like totally spent 45 minutes being inefficient, but it is the greatest way that I have fueled my life today. And I think it's so, in our world that is completely obsessed with productivity, efficiency, and fast. I just want to tell you, as you were talking and you said, oh, it's in medicine, we know the doctor runs in and runs out. And you just like I remember I would go with my grandparents to their doctor's appointments, both to translate, but also to handle. They would get so stressed because they were like, okay, here are the 5 things you must tell the doctor because it's only going to be 5 minutes. We call that efficient, but actually efficiency is getting the person well fastest, right? So we actually have to zoom out and think about what is really the goal. And so I think what you're saying is so meaningful. So I want to ask you, your own experience on so many patients you care for. If I asked you to, for all of us, all the awesome humans are overwhelmed and stressed, real life, and life is stressful. I always say being human is hard. What are some pieces of advice you'd offer around helping ourselves heal? And not just necessarily from trauma like you went through, but maybe trauma of the pandemic or, something on a smaller scale. Because I think self-healing is something that's a practice that I've definitely I was a novice to, but I think it's a really powerful thing to learn.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I almost think we all have to stumble into our own recipe for self-healing, because what works for some people will never work for someone else. If someone told me running would have healed me, I still wouldn't have run. Like, I just am not a runner. What I found helpful was processing through either writing, which was a way of sense making to me, to get to go back and revisit moments and think, what did I think now versus what did I think then, and why, and what has changed, and sort of press on those memories and see if I could unlock compassion, because often in the moment it's hard to find. And that was really healing, because I was carrying a lot of anger about some of the experiences. And to, when you go through something hard, you only have your perspective. And to be able to retrospectively go back and think about, gosh, what was that experience like for that poor intern that got called to my bedside? How terrifying to take care of a physician in your own hospital and not feel competent in that moment. And that was a really important practice for me. I often didn't have access to that right away. It took time and perspective to build towards that. And I used art in the middle because I joke that I think in colors, but I think sometimes I don't have the ability to articulate the feeling. I know the shape of it. I know the emotions of it, but I don't have a paragraph. And using art helped me to know what I was thinking. It was a way to be in conversation with myself and to then have something else I could triangulate on with others. My husband and I could look at it and be like, so why did you make those choices? And what do you think the meaning there is? And it was a way of externalizing. And anytime we can do that, externalize our trauma, our experience, press on it, see what it wants to tell us, I think there's tremendous potential. And that happens for people in many ways. Yoga has also been really important to me because I do believe movement helps to unlock trapped emotions. I joke that when my muscles shake, I'm releasing trapped joy. But it feels right to me. And whether it's journaling for someone, whether it's talking to a friend and rehashing an experience and letting them reflect your values back to you so you can have kind of post-traumatic growth around a hard thing, all of that is available for us. We just have to choose.
We do have to choose. I love what you said about we have to stumble into our own things that heal. But, you know, when you said that, I was thinking about not just my own experience, but I have the gift of working with so many different people. And it's rare that we don't know what to do. It's more that we have to make that choice that now I'm going to drop the story or put the story on pause of my struggle and how awful everything is. And I'm going to choose to do something. And, you know, in my own experience of healing after my burnout, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I was dealing with emotions for the first time in my life. I come from a family where very loving family, but nobody talked about emotions. So even like thinking to write about feelings was strange. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I did make the choice to try something. And a lot of the stuff, I mean, I've shared this before. I remember Googling, like I would Google, how do you feel better? You know, what are good spiritual books to feel better? And, you know, I think it's a beautiful way to put it. We have to stumble into it, but we have to choose to take a step. And that's what I always think about. It's just one step and then you figure it out. What are, you know, you deal with a lot of people, and maybe this was in your own experience of coming close to death, but I want to just ask you a question around regret. Someone asked me a question recently during another interview, and I liked what it made me think about. So I want to ask you, did you have in your own experience of, oh, I regret not having done this or that, or is it something you talk about with your patients, or what are some things what can we learn from some of the regrets at the end of life to help us live a fuller life?
Certainly, you know, I regret as a first generation immigrant woman who wanted to be a physician, I definitely just tried to assimilate into the culture. And there were moments where my internal voice was saying, that doesn't feel right, or is that really the way that we do this? That doesn't seem healing. But when you want to fit in so badly, you'll tolerate behavior that maybe isn't, you know, who you want to be. And I call that like a provisional identity, that we adopt these identities for the moment, but we're always judging them against our true selves. And so I very much wish that I had had the courage to be who I was within medicine from the beginning. Not to believe in what I was told I needed to be, and not to need to have such a dramatic patient experience to know what patients were telling us all along, right? We know the power of connection and compassion and listening and attention. And it's a shame that it's still being indoctrinated sort of a different way.
I think that's really, you know, and I, as a refugee myself, as an immigrant, I just want you to know I really relate to what you said about a provisional identity. I like the way of putting that. And just, you know, I was in a very different world in my career. I was in a world of finance and technology, which was I learned a lot, but it was very tough, male dominated. And I sort of, I don't remember hearing that voice because I was so deaf to my inner experience of life. And that's something that I think a lot about. You were talking when you were in the operating room on the table, that there was all the computers, but then there was your inner experience. But I think, so I really relate personally to, probably some of my regrets are not earlier on, not having the awareness even before the courage to realize I wasn't really aligned with my true self. I was aligned with this new identity of, look at me, I'm a refugee, I can be so tough. Can you guys check me out? So I think that's really powerful. And I think, let me actually ask you this wrap up ending question. So you and I are both parents. As you know, it's my daughter's 18th birthday. What would be, it's graduation time. So what's maybe a piece of advice you give to, let's call it that way. It's a piece of advice you'd give to your younger self or your child or someone graduating, just with having the lens that you do through a life experience.
You know, you've just spoken to it, really. It's the gift of attunement. I think the greatest thing we can do for ourselves is to honestly appraise the moments in our day when we light up, because it might not be what society tells you will light you up. It might not be what your parents tell you will light you up. Only you know what generates those kinds of sparks for you, and follow those sparks, because it's up to us to build a life that we love and that lights us up. And if we try to follow someone else's blueprint, we're unlikely to get there.
I think that's really, really beautiful and very poignant. You know, yesterday in my weekly email to the bigger community, I shared, so for Mia's graduation from high school, I wrote her a book of pep talks. And the joke in our family is that, you know how as parents, we turn everything into teachable moments. So the joke in our family is I turn everything into a pep talk. It's like, oh, here comes a mama pep talk. So as a teenager, my daughter would say #casual. I wrote her a book of 52 of them. And I shared one of them with our community yesterday. And the pep talk was around taking a break from the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. So I just want to share it with you because it really connects to what you're saying and with everyone here. That what I have found, it's not just that we have to be attuned to our truest being to not follow what others perceive as the right path, but also to crack through the story that we tend to create for ourselves. And we change as human beings. We're all very different. I just listened to this, forget who did it, but a really fascinating TED Talk about how we all underestimate how much we change. When we think ahead 10 years, we think we'll be pretty similar, but we're actually very different. But our stories about ourselves, I am good at this, I am bad at this never works for me, tend to be really static. And so the pep talk was around, it was inspired by, I don't know if you've ever come, he's a Indian guru who's passed away now, but Krishnamurti, I don't know if you ever come across his work, been very influential in my life. And he writes in his work around how we have to die to our memories and our stories to actually experience true self. And that's very, very, very powerful. And I think I just want to add that to what you're saying. I think that attunement and then having the courage, not just to not necessarily follow the path of others, but the story that we've come to believe about ourselves that feels static often. Yeah. Rana, tell everyone where people can see, learn more about you, your work, your book, your beautiful art. By the way, I didn't mention this. I always mention at the beginning, I try to put a different painting behind me for Awesome Human Hour. So everyone, you're looking at the painting, which I gave to Mia as her birthday gift. It is not finished yet, but to my right, it's called Mamma Mia. Thank you, Rana. It's not finished, but I try to give her a painting every birthday. I also, Rana, started to paint only after I burnt out. So tell everyone where they can learn more, because I know everyone is like this and they're screaming.
Yeah, the book came out in 2017, so it's pretty well available wherever you buy books. I spend too much time on Twitter. I'm on Instagram marginally, and a website was just put in the chat where you can reach me too.
Awesome. Yeah, it's Rana's first and last name, and everyone, the website will be in the show notes and your follow-up email, of course. I love Rana's art. It's incredibly heartfelt. So I encourage you all to run to the website and look at it. And Rana, thank you so much for being, thank you so much for sharing your being with us and your wisdom and your warmth. It's truly a gift. I said to everyone at the top of the hour that I started to read some of the things you were sharing on Twitter and things on your website, and there was just something in your voice that always feels so true to me. And I'm really grateful for that. So thank you for you. Thank you everyone for being, I always say this, thank you for being, and thank you for being here with us on whatever platform you are with us. It's a gift to spend this hour in a community of awesome humans. I wish you all and you, Rana, a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to go figure out what the next part of the celebration is. We go hard in our family on celebrating. So I'm gonna go back into the birthday world, but I'm so grateful, Rana. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and happy birthday to Mia.
Thank you, Rana. Thank you. Bye, everyone.